Hi, this is Julie from Love's Beginning, and I got an explanation this morning I thought would be helpful to share. And as always, when I share it, I receive more because I'm just sitting and being open and allowing any disturbed thoughts to come up, and then sometimes the replacement thoughts will come in. So, if I have questions or doubts, the replacement thoughts will come in that tell me, okay, this is how it really is, and then I can share that with you. I guess that's channeling, but I like to think of the fact that we're always channeling. All of us are always channeling, and it's always very simply love or fear, and we can tell which it is by how we feel, so as to not make this special. Um, but when I have a point of confusion and I get set straight on it, it's often in the shower, um, or when I'm ready to go down a level deeper to see what I've been doing with thought and belief. It's often, when I'm in a really relaxed state. And so this my videos often come from what what I'm told in the shower. And I realized this morning that the metaphor for that, shower, shower, I'm being shown, and then I can pass that along if it resonates with you, and maybe you've received similar information. And I don't know about you, but when I hear it from more than one source that other people are receiving in it helps me go deeper. So all right, so this is what it is. Um, First, there's kind of a disclaimer because what we believe in, even if it's not real, gets used to help us go deeper into releasing untrue thought and belief and allowing in our real thoughts and beliefs. And even beyond that, there's a state in which we don't need thought or belief, and that all falls away when it's time. But if you notice your thinking, and if you notice that you believe things, and if you notice that any of your thoughts and beliefs are, if you're ever disturbed about anything for any reason, then some of those thoughts and beliefs are not true and can be replaced by what is true. And at first, that might seem to be just like a substitute thought and belief, and then after that, it might just seem to be closing my eyes a lot to go in. It might just seem to be um, just what you are expressing itself through you, and that's what everybody else is too. So, um, okay, so there's a disclaimer. This is about time, and time is not real. But we are delivering to ourselves an experience of time. We're hiding out in time and space because we think we're in trouble. We think we broke creation, and we didn't. But that's what time and space is about. Um, I'm coming at this from a very, very, very broad view. Um, so we believe we're in time, and it's been useful for me before for my friends, which you could call an angelic collective, to explain things to me in terms of timelines. So I'm going to talk about timelines, but when I talk about them, I would never argue that they actually exist. I would never argue that this is how it really is, because it's a metaphor used to help me emerge out of very confused thinking. If we believe that physical us at all, we're very confused. And if we're body identified, and if we believe we actually are these separate characters walking around here, we're really confused. But we can be met in our confusion and led out of it. And then we can release timelines where what we're projecting in the world does not look healed to us. So if you look out in the world and you see some situations in your life, in the world, in your town that seem unhealed, you can take responsibility not for the particular things that are going wrong, but you can take responsibility for the fact that, I'll use I language, I can take responsibility for the fact that I'm projecting the world I'm experiencing, I'm projecting, and all the unhealed situations that seem to be around me are reflections of the unhealed thoughts and beliefs active in my mind. And how do you know you're part of the movie you seem to see going on outside of you. How do you know that's coming from you? Well, do you ever feel disturbed by anything ever? Okay, now when you look into your world, do you see anything that seems to be disturbing? And then that thing would be the cause of, you would believe it's the cause of your disturbance. I'm upset because there's war in the world, right? Thought and belief come before experience. And we deliver all experience unto ourselves, and we deliver it to ourselves because we want it. So, what I was told about, yeah, maybe I better address this, but I don't want war. We want, do you want anything good as opposed to bad? Like, do you want to be thin as opposed to fat, or do you want to be peaceful as opposed to violent? If you want anything good, you have to have the bad in this world to prove that you're the good one next to the bad thing. So that is how you want it. That is how you want it. There is a place you can be taken perceptually that is beyond all that, where you stop wanting things like that for yourself, because you know that both ends of the stick are always present. So there's something different from I want peace in this world versus I want to return fully to the peace that I am and see it everywhere. That one's okay. That one's not going to bring I was going to say it's not going to bring more strife into our lives in the long run. In the short run, we might find ourselves in situations that give us an opportunity for deep healing, and those seem very disturbing. Why? Because we're holding on to a lot of disturbed thinking. The world exists as a place to prove to you that what you think and believe is true. That's why it's here. So science will say this or that physically is true. We have found this, and we have the evidence. Well, it was thought before it was experienced, and the experience seems to prove the thought, but the thought comes before the experience. So when we go to this idea of timelines, I think we're ready for this now. It's like we forget that there are many, many, many worlds we can experience, and you can dial into all these different timelines. And eventually, we're all going to, there's only one of us, right? We heal simultaneously. We're all going to end up in a timeline of simultaneous thriving and joy. And that's a little confusing to contemplate right now, since we're so used to duality. And that'll be our goodbye to time. When we're ready to let time go, we will have cleared out a lot of our thought gunk, all of our thought gunk, most of it, because if we're still experiencing time, there's still a blip there. But we'll realize that thriving, true thriving, is mutual thriving. And we'll realize that we are harmony, and that we can bring harmony into our experience by the willingness to see it everywhere. And that we all end up in this timeline of mutual thriving that excludes nobody. So right now, in your timeline, it serves, I'll use I language, it serves me so much. When I can look at the ones that seem to be villain, or in a more immediate sense seem to be cause of my present annoyance, and realize that they're here to help me, because there are, I want to say, infinite versions, lots of versions. I don't have an exact understanding of this, also because it isn't quite real, but it's a story to get me out of the story. But there are versions of these characters. Like if you think somebody changes, it's because you were willing to see a changed version of them. So if you're willing to see everybody as essentially innocent, guess what timeline you're going to end up in? possibly before the death of the physical body you think is, you think that character, the physical body is playing as you. Um, so it's to your great advantage, it's to my great advantage to dial into the timeline where I know darn well everybody is strength itself, everybody is love, everybody is innocence. Because we can take a long, 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 long time with a lot of conflict and strife to get to the mutually thriving timeline, the one timeline where the final one where everything's merged and we're ready to let go of time. Um, or we can get there pretty quickly, and we get there pretty quickly by forgiveness. We we don't forgive because somebody did something wrong, and it's just really big of us to accommodate them. We forgive because we realize this has been a virtual reality game. Now that's a story to get us out of a story. Okay, it's a very helpful metaphor. You never have to argue that this is or isn't a virtual reality game. But the virtual reality game that we see in our world right now is a helpful reflection of what we have going on. But I would never get exact about it or insist that it's real, because illusion is chaos. Physicality is um is chaos. It came out of a wish for chaos, and it's real tricky, and it's not order. And but what we are is divine order, and divine order can, with our permission, take over the illusion and bring it to a happy conclusion with our willingness. And that can seemingly happen very quickly if we dial into what it is we're doing with our thought. So when we think we're victim to a world with villains in it, um, we could go deeper than that, because we're victimizing ourselves. And we all have this power to see right through every character everybody's playing, and that's very good news. And the reason in the timeline you're in, they may seem to be playing a role of enemy to the people, or trying to hold others down, is because I myself have chosen to be held down by a limiting experience of physicality. And I am not other than that one. So if I can see their innocence, no matter what role they're playing, they're an actor on a stage, then I can see my own. And if I can deeply, deeply hold that awareness, then it's like the actors wake up and emerge out of the role and just emerge into to true seeing. And that can happen all around us. Our minds are always touching each other. We have some rules for ourselves. I language, I have some rules for myself for how I allow change to occur in the world I see. And if I think it's because of physicality, that can work. I can be guided, for example, to eat a certain way, or to engage in certain activities or activism or efforts to bring about a perceived physical change, because I believe that's necessary. But far more powerful is just knowing the power of the mind, and just knowing when disturbed thought comes up that it can be cleared out, and that you can see truly. But when I do this, it's like I'm not allowed to have an opinion because I know now that my opinions are suffering, suffering projected out there in the world, and suffering experienced as this character. So that goes so deep. Um, and I'm like debating whether or not to share a personal story, which means I'm going to. But before I share it, to show you how much my perception has changed, into like there's like the good and bad is truly false, and we've got to find the peace, and allow ourselves to see that everywhere. Before I go there, I want to say that I still have some fears around this story, and and their distorted thinking is still being cleared out. So I have shared it around a little bit. And after I've shared it, I get an ego backlash, which is also cleansing and healing, because the experience seems to be, I can hear the thoughts of the ones with whom I shared it, and they're thinking, oh crap, she might be really screwed. She might have made a wrong decision there. And so what I'm told about it is that's good. That's not bad, because um, you had your own doubts about this and they're highlighting them for you. So you should thank them, in thought, mind to mind. I don't have to do it face to face. Just thank them and allow that distorted thinking to be cleared now. They highlighted for you what was still present, what you might have been distracting yourself away from, and now you get to have it cleared out. So the only response to that is a thank you. So, in deciding whether or not to share it, I'm also thinking, oh no, more of this backlash, but it can only benefit me. All right, so the story is about my past thoughts and beliefs around vaccines and doctors. I have 4 kids, 14, 10, and 4-year-old twins. And I generally don't take them to doctors, don't see that as necessary, because if they're in a state of health, then we're all good and everything's fine. But there was that, and it's pretty strong that, for good, we're good, everything's good. But they're under that, and there have also been fears and beliefs that vaccines are harmful, and I should avoid, coming under the perceived control of medicine, Western medicine. I should avoid, and I should preserve some kind of freedom or some kind of health. But I can see now there's a lot of fearful, self-protective thinking in that. And when we're trying to protect a separate self, we're preserving the conflict and disorder that we desired to experience. But we might be done now. We might be a harmony bringer instead. And that means some pretty surprising things can happen. And I said we might be a harmony bringer, and that just kind of begs a sorting out into this one's a harmony bringer and that one's not. So maybe delete. But if you have a willingness to see harmony everywhere, then the storyline can have some surprising twists and turns in which your opinions are just obliterated and shown to be completely untrue. So this is what happened. My husband wanted to have the kids vaccinated. He didn't have a strong desire for it before, but he developed one. And I didn't feel that I should try to prevent him from acting on that. I couldn't find a good reason why, because every time I talked to my friends about what is and what isn't, what's real and what's not, I could see nothing but fear when I tried to decide what physicality is and isn't. And I could see nothing but the opportunity to have distorted thinking cleared. So the experience that they had was the 14-year-old was all for it, and no problem. The 10-year-old had no philosophy about it either way, because I was careful not to try to impose my philosophies on anybody, but I still lived according to my fears. And so she had no particular philosophy about it, but she was mad that she experienced physical pain and getting the injection, and we just had the opportunity to talk about that. And then the 4-year-olds acted like it was a walk in the park. And so that was the big lesson for me, is that a park is the same as a medical office, and that I know this goes really far and asks a lot, but we cannot be truly harmed, but we can project a world in which we are victim and victimizer. But when we're done with those roles, and what I was asked to do was to see the innocence of every being playing a character, whether it's a character in a pharmaceutical company or a character who could be called an anti-vaxxer, or a character who's a child getting vaccinated, or a character who seems to have a trouble that is believed to be associated with vaccines, or whether it's a character who truly, truly believes that the health and well-being of everybody depends on vaccines. Um, all of them are so innocent and so loved and so supported, and their being is safe at all times. But what we can experience here is different from that, right? We can experience victimizer, victimized. We can experience, because we believe in the body identification, all sorts of disturbing things through the experience of showing up and believing one is a body. So I'm not arguing for or against here. I'm just saying some surprising things can happen. And this, for me, was all the fears being ushered up to the surface so that they could be healed. Who wouldn't want their fear healed? when you have your fear healed, you can just relax and enjoy yourself until the next ones come up. you know, then you get to have those healed too. And when you have your fear healed, you don't blame anybody. So how is this attached to timelines? Because what you dial into when you truly realize that the characters are not a threat and the physicality is not a threat, and you have every support in the universe, and seeing through physicality, seeing through all opinion, all perceived opinion about physicality from others, and all perceived opinion about physicality from yourself, and all opinion about characters, see through all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it, to the innocence and peace and love that everybody is. And when you do that, that's what you invite. That's what you invite out. And which timeline do you seem to get plopped into? The one that reflects you back to yourself. And it really is up to you, really is up to me, what I'm willing to allow. Lest you put too much pressure on yourself, believing you're a character who could get it wrong. Remember, you are the one of us. You are that peace. You are that love. And if worried thinking comes up, like, I'm going to plop into a crappy timeline, that is just more distorted thinking coming up. That's just more fear coming up. And when it comes up to the surface, it's an opportunity. And you all have all the help in the world if you just say, unseen friends, help me really, truly see what's real. I surrender all opinions. I surrender all opinions about everybody else's opinions. I want the inner peace that I can share and see everywhere. And you will get helped, and your perspectives will change. And if something comes along that seems like a surprise for you, you'll see that you've been prepared for it. For example, I didn't really understand why, but I was being told for months, maybe since December, that vaccines are inert. Just over and over, I was being told, when I really didn't think it was much of an issue for me, or, like, why do I keep hearing this? But okay, it seems to be helping me release some judgment, so I'll go for it. But I was told that, and I was told they do not prevent anything, and they do not cause anything, but your thoughts will cause you to an experience an enactment in the physical that may prove your thoughts to you, your beliefs to you. So go down deep with that. Hey, I'm making a video. Can you catch me in 5 minutes? Okay, thanks. So where was I with it? So I was prepared for it months ahead of time. And then when my son decided to enter school, I had the option then to start vaccinations for him. There was also an option in my state to get a religious exemption. And, I asked, which I feel uncertain, I feel doubt, I don't know what to do. What should I do? And I had resistances built up, lots of ideas I had to have fleshed up and out about what school meant, what he would experience in school. And, that seemed like enough at the time. So I went for the exemption and I got it. And then I had a few months to process all the school stuff, all the thoughts and resistances I had about that. And then a few months later, that's when a law passed in New York State, the state I'm in, repealing the exemptions. And I just thought, well, I have no idea what to do about this, but I'm not getting an indication yet. So we'll just go and see, what I'm called to do, what happens next. And then it just all fell into place that I didn't handle any of it. The only thing I had to handle was my thoughts and beliefs, and that is what causes whatever experience of physicality we have. So that was very helpful for me. And I guess to just finish up, I would just emphasize how we truly do dial in. And if you want peace in your heart, then express the willingness to see peace everywhere and in everyone, upcoming, shining right up through whatever story is going on, shining right up through whatever the characters seem to be doing. This is how we bring peace back, by acknowledging that it's everybody's true identity. If you're even going to save one villain, then I if I do that, I'm condemning I'm condemning myself to a timeline with unrest. Um, and it's also possible to be in a timeline where it seems there is unrest, but because you can see through it, you can be part of the force that invites. This is still a self and other perspective. I think I still need clearer thinking of this, but that invites that peace, that innocence to express itself. So I hope this helped you, as always, and wishing you a good week. When those thoughts and beliefs come up, even if it seems like it's a confrontational situation, you truly don't have to experience it that way. Just go to your guidance and ask to see what is real, and you'll realize how much you're truly being helped by everything. Nothing's against you, and everything is helping you clear distorted thought and helping you appreciate how beautiful everything and everyone is. So take care, and I will talk to you later. I can figure out how to end this.